Hello everyone, I haven't done a horror games video for a little while now. I'm getting to the point where there's only a couple more systems that I really own a fair amount of horror games on to even do a video for. In fact, this one, Gamecube, really only has a few titles, and most of them are Resident Evil games. A long time ago I did like a Resident Evil series video. We're talking like probably over a year ago now. So I figured most of you probably haven't watched that. So this is basically going to be Resident Evil mixed with like one other game on the GameCube under the horror genre. So here we go. Up first, Resident Evil 0. This is a prequel to all the other numbered titles in the series. It's not the first Resident Evil game, though, to come out on the GameCube. You play as Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen. Billy Cohen is a convicted felon who basically he hasn't run away or escaped or anything. There was just a accident, and he has been separated from his caretakers, basically. And you bump into Rebecca towards the beginning of the game. Now, this was the first Resident Evil title to allow switching of characters, throughout the game. Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6 have like the partners, system where there's always another character playing along with you, be it, computer controlled or an actual person. Now, this game wasn't multiplayer. You couldn't have your friend play as like Billy and you play as Rebecca. You just could switch between which one you played, and the computer always played the other one. This also came out, they re-released it on the Wii, but they didn't add anything. All you could really do was use the Wii remote, but there was no like waggle functions or anything added to it. I liked it quite a bit. It wasn't as creepy or as scary as some of the other titles, but one of the main creatures in the game are leeches, and the leeches can take the form basically of like a human, but still made up of leeches, so I thought that was really creepy in the game. So I would recommend checking out. It seems to be one of the less popular titles, also in the sense of value, that's not a word, of value. You can get it for a lot cheaper than other Resident Evil games on the GameCube. One of my favorite Resident Evil titles, the remake of the original. Originally came out on the PlayStation 1. I definitely think this game still holds up pretty well today in the graphics department. It had awesome lighting, really cool pre-rendered backgrounds. They added some new creatures and some new areas. One of the new creatures, the Crimson Head Zombie in this game, were just intense. They would chase you down through different rooms. Some of the areas that were new areas were outdoor areas, which, in the first game you only got to kind of go outside a couple times, so it was definitely, a nice change of pace to be able to, have at least a few new areas outside of the main mansion. I highly recommend it. They also did another remake of the first game on the DS. It was Resident Evil Deadly Silence. It's basically a direct port, more or less, of the first game from the PlayStation 1, because you can play the exact same game, but it did add some new features in a enhanced mode as well. These next three I'm going to mention sort of together. Resident Evil 2, 3, and Code Veronica X. All these games have been released multiple times on different systems. 2 has been released 6 times, I believe, physically. That doesn't count the digital releases of it as well. 3 has been released 4 times, and Code Veronica has been released like 3 times physical copies. The price range also, depending on what system you want to get it on, varies quite a bit. The GameCube versions of 2 and 3 are a little bit expensive. You're looking to spend at least $20 or up, especially if you're buying online. Code Veronica on the GameCube is still kind of inexpensive. I come across still people sometimes that maybe they only played Resident Evil 4, which I do not own Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. I own Resident Evil 4 on the Wii, so I won't be showing that in this video. But I still come across many people that didn't play one of these titles. Resident Evil 2 is sort of regarded as a lot of people's favorites in the series. I really enjoyed 3 for the weapon, basically the ammunition that you could make in the game. You can make all these cool different grenade rounds as well. And Code Veronica. Code Veronica was okay. It's sort of not a lot of people's favorite. I did still enjoy it. I love the Bandersnatch enemies in the game. I just like saying Bandersnatch, I think. It has the word snatch in it, so, that makes it kind of cool. But these are, definitely the core, I would call the heart of like Resident Evil. I mean, obviously you had, the beginning, Resident Evil 1, but when Resident Evil's at sort of like its highest peak, at least for me, was with these games. I still enjoyed 4, 5, and 6. I mean, I like them all, but I recommend, probably picking up on the GameCube, just for the reason why I like them more on the GameCube, especially with 2 and 3, is that because they've been released so many times, there are a few differences between all the different releases. Some have extra content when you beat the game. I like these two mainly because the items like green herbs and bullets and stuff, they blend in better to the background. And some of the other releases, they pop out, they stand out ridiculously. So it's like, oh, obviously there's, that item is something I can pick up. It's not a part of the pre-rendered background. I like how they blended them a little bit better in these releases. So for some reason, if you've not played these, check these games out. Last but certainly not least, Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem. This is definitely a like hidden gem, has a cult following, did not sell really well when it first came out. It was only on the GameCube. People have wanted a sequel to it, but it has never come. It had a really cool feature that I wish was used in more games. They had a sanity meter, and basically your characters, which you would play as multiple characters throughout the game, when they would come in contact with monsters and creatures, they could start like losing it basically, and some of the effects were just weird sound effects. You'd hear like whispers or chains rattling, and then they would get more intense sometimes, and it would actually trick like you as the player into thinking there was things going wrong with maybe like the game or your TV. One of them was it could take the volume, it would look like there was a little volume bar on your TV, and it would be turning it down, so you'd be thinking like, did I sit on the remote, what the hell's going on? But it was just the game. The story is based around the Tome of Eternal Darkness. Your one main female character when you start out the game, it was Alex. Hold on, I'm going to cheat for a second. Alex, yes. Okay, so, sorry about that. But Alex, you start off playing, and then you would find pages to the tome, and basically you would open up other parts of the story where you would play as other characters. I really love this game. I really hope maybe someday we will see a sequel. I just recently read that apparently they were working on a sequel a long time ago, not recently, but then it just sort of got canned or, off. It floated off into the distance or something, and, they put their money elsewhere. But definitely check this out if you like horror games at all. It's, at least in the $20-$25 range. I mean, it's been a while since I checked the price. But it's never kind of climbed into super expensive, but it's hard to find. It never showed up really in stores, used copies. You never maybe see like one at a time. But I remember at my store, it was sort of like a hot commodity. Anytime anyone would come in, we'd be like, hey, you got to check this game out if you like horror games at all, especially if they're buying like one of the 1,000 Resident Evil titles that are on the GameCube. But, so yeah, good game, go check it out. That is it. Like, there really isn't a lot of GameCube games I even own. You can kind of see this shelf up here. GameCube is one of the smaller collections I have. There just wasn't a ton of titles that came out for it that I personally wanted to own. There are a couple other horror games on the GameCube. Like I mentioned, Resident Evil 4 is one of them that I do not own on that system. But so this isn't, every single one of them. But there really is not a lot more than this, so it's sort of a easy system to collect for if you like horror games. But, alright guys, thank you for watching. I will talk to you all later. Peace!